With Frank Morales, and we're talking, well, of course, with Huntsville Service Center and Huntsville Services. You do a lot there.
I do a few things over there. How are you today?
I am doing great today. Frank, gosh, I've been married 11 years. I just feel like a victim. Is society just saying that we're victims, 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 and I'm mad, and you made me mad, and you, and...
Well, we're just getting a lot more of that, and because of that, we're starting to have a lot of severe problems about things because of the fact that people are acting out more and more on their impulses. And we're seeing a lot of people turning anger into aggression. And that's becoming a very, very serious problem.
Media has, I think, escalates certain situations as well. We all have different opinions. And what happened to having the right to freedom of speech and having opinions, but we're taking it 2-3 steps further? Well,
the interesting thing is that we're acting like everybody's the same, and you can give somebody the same information, and everyone's going to decode it the same way. So what happens is we're hyping people up a lot these days, and we're getting them angrier and angrier, but you can't give someone the same message and think they're going to decode it the same way. And some people take that message, and it doesn't matter what you get them really angry, and some people can say, okay, I'm angry, and that's going to make me do something positive or force me into some type of action. Others take that, and what they're going to do with it is that's going to force me into some type of aggression. And some of these people giving these messages do not care that they're forcing these people into those acts of aggression. You know, let's just take how some people take messages. You know, like let's say in our state of Alabama, we're pretty football oriented.
Oh, Alabama, Auburn.
And
people
right,
can
and so like you can look at it. Some people can be talking about a game, and they can say, "Well, this player really messed up. He dropped this pass, or something like that, or your team isn't this good." And you know, some people can take that, and it's okay. But others can sit up there and get so angry about it that they want to go hurt the person. We've heard about people going and having death threats against a person.
A father shooting a son over an altercation during a Bama game. That happened too. Did you read that article?
And those things, we used to laugh about people that used to fight. They would fight over their teams and do things. But those things are not getting funny anymore because of the fact that people are now taking anger, which is an emotion, and turning it into aggression, which is a behavior. And now we're getting more and more aggressive acts. People talk to people, tell them, oh, you shouldn't put up with that, you shouldn't do this.
Encourage it.
And yes, and what happens is now we have people that get those kind of things, it gets done to them. Those people now start thinking it over in their mind and everything. They may let it salivate in their mind overnight, and next thing you know, they're going to go do an action. I mean, probably that's what even happened with our little case that we had in Madison County yesterday, where we had an incident where an individual followed his estranged wife.
And there was a restraining order against his estranged wife, and that didn't stop him. He didn't care.
No, he didn't care. And what happens is once you get to that point, you just don't care about consequences. You're justified. You go do what you're going to do. And this man, evidently, he shoots somebody, and then he takes off. He's not worried about the consequences or anything.
No, shot 2 people and then killed himself. So, what do you think that there were plenty of instances rather prior to that day?
Well,
do we not take things serious anymore? Threats?
Well, and here's our problems even with the law. And a lot of people always ask afterwards, well, why? And we ask that in cases of, and you know, there's the case of I think it's in back east somewhere in the school where the 17-year-old hung herself, and they asked, well, why didn't you do this with the school bullying and things like that? The laws are not set up the way they are to let you do certain things. You can't arrest every single person. You can't do things to that. But we have to take every instance more seriously, but we're going to have to change laws in order to do something about it. Because clearly in the case of what happened yesterday, that person could have been arrested for that because it was a case of domestic violence. He should have been arrested. She chose actually not to, but she chose to get a protection order instead. Protection orders are...
It's a piece of paper.
It is a piece of paper because you can't protect the person. It's not like it gives you an armed guard that's going to be around you. He knew what the routine was. He knew that that the stepson had to be at the job, and he just simply followed them.
If anyone out there knows someone who you think is angry, very angry, what steps do you think as a person they need to take? Don't sit back and let that person continue on. How can you talk that person into possibly seeking an anger management specialist?
Well, first of all, most angry people refuse to believe that they're angry. They just believe they're right. They believe that they're fully justified in what's going on, and they don't believe that whatever it is, they believe that anybody would think exactly like they're thinking. And they don't, they think that it's just a matter of the other person is to blame. So that's a person, first of all, that you do need to sit up there and find out exactly, get them to say what the problem is, try to get them to somebody that can discuss it, mediate the situation.
By bringing it to their attention, do you think that when they act like that, or do you bring like, hey, the other day when you acted like that, you really need to start watching yourself? I mean, do you start to tell someone to where they start to see their own actions?
And that's, at times, that can be dangerous, especially if it's a male-female situation, because a lot of times people are very intimidating to that. So sometimes you have to bring that to a third party's attention first. Because a lot of times, like let's say in the instance of that person right there, that person probably used power and control. It was an intimidating factor that that person used. In today's paper with that same person, it said that that person had in another county, Morgan County, had, prior to that, had some protection orders against them in 2000. So you have to be careful how you approach some people, because in today's society, we're just going to let go. But you do need to bring it to the account of a third party.
So if you're dealing with someone that you feel has serious anger issues, try to get another party involved to maybe talk to that person first.
Yes.
Don't take it upon yourself to approach that person.
No, not unless you know, because if you know this person has any kind of history of violence and all.
That's already the huge red flag.
Right. And what you look at too is that's not a person that you feed more negativity into. And that's one of the things that I think that we need to be more accountable for in our society is to say that when we have this type of individual, we don't need to be feeding them other types of things that are going to hype them up to make them angry in other areas. Because one of the things where we're finding out is we have these people that have this propensity for violence, and we are getting them angry about a lot of different issues in our society. And that's what's polarizing a lot of things, because we don't know that these people will act out. We may be saying something that we think is an opinion, and it may be a very strong opinion on something that we're all allowed to have opinions about. But that person's going to take it out in a violent sense, where we had no intention of doing that too.
Okay. I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about if anyone out there is divorced with children. For the children's sake, you have to be able to communicate, or there's going to be years of trouble, basically. If you have the children that are starting to be angry toward a parent, do you also have courses or classes for that?
Yes, and that's what the conflict resolution program is basically about. And to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of times when we see that the adults are in adversarial positions, the children learn to manipulate the situation very well.
They're pros.
Yes, because of the fact that they know that these two individuals will not be talking to each other. And a lot of times kids, even very good kids, learn that even the way to get attention is to tell one parent one thing and one parent the other, because they think that pleases them. And that parent immediately starts getting angry when they hear one thing out of this, because they want to believe it.
And children want to please the parents, especially if they're trying to get something that they want as well.
Exactly.
All right, so manipulation is a big thing too.
It's a masterful tool.
And it doesn't just stop, it doesn't stop once they turn 18, 19 years old. It continues, it escalates into their adult life.
They learn to use that tool in other situations.
All right. Well, Frank, thank you very much. Huntsville Service Center, you can give them a call. The number there is?
Yeah, Family Service
Family
Center.
Services, I'm sorry, Huntsville Service
Center.
Center.
At 551-1610.
All right. I do want to also say you can go to andersonservices.com. And actually, there is an article. We're huge advocates of anger management program. And don't be embarrassed. You would not believe the amazing people that you can meet, and also the stories that you hear. And I promise you, you'll think, wow, I don't have a problem in the world. I should be happy and I should be doing well. But go to andersonservices.com.